So what I'm doing here is opening up my shoulder. That's simply what it's called. And synchronizing the movement of these articulations. And I'm moving at one plane to begin with. This is the circular plane, a two-dimensional plane. But then I'm moving on another plane. Another plane is my body turning on its axis 180 degrees. Meanwhile, this is keeping to the circular plane. And then I can move to the horizontal axis, right? So I'm combining these types of movements sequentially. But more importantly, I'm opening up the shoulder. See? See how far back I have this? And now I'm conditioning every range of motion that my shoulder can possibly perform. I'm conditioning and strengthening the entire range of motion of my shoulder, and I'm opening it up and smoothing it out, conditioning the connections, the neuromuscular connections that I can feel with my brain, with my mind as a feeling, sensation, the ligament stresses and tensors, the muscles associated with holding these patterns, the stresses, and how to accommodate the stresses. The best form that will generate a feeling of smoothness. These are all conscious, metacognitive part of the meditation. The conscious, meditative part of the meditation is meditating on all these body feelings. We have body feeling, we have perception, we have mental formations, and we have consciousness. That is the range of the aggregates of consciousness. Those five: body, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. Body is your physical self, the presence of yourself, the feeling of the self, being in your body, having ownership of your body, and all the feelings associated with it. The unpleasant, the pleasant, and the neither pleasant nor unpleasant feelings that you have. Feeling is any type of sensation: temperature, pressure, movement, pain, pleasure. That's what they mean about feeling, or the way something feels emotionally, in your mood. How does that feel? Emotion, okay? So we have, again, the five aggregates: body, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. So now we have perceptions. Perceptions are the aggregate in itself of all the modes of sensory perception. So, visual, auditory, tactile, sense of smell. Those are all receptive parts of your nervous system. They're neuroreceptors, afferent, leading toward the brain, which then creates a cognitive formation, a mental formation of what you perceived through your senses. So that's perception. It can be an insight or an idea that you become aware of, that arises in your conscious and your thought process, and it's everything else in the sensorial world, movement through space. So again, the five aggregates: we have body, feeling, perception, mental formations. By mental formations, they're talking about judgments, about perceptions, judgments about perceptions. What quality does it have? As I'm thinking about this movement, what quality does it have? How does it feel? Pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant nor pleasant? Does it feel smooth? Does it feel rushed? Does it feel relaxed? Does it feel elegant? These are mental formations, judgments, quite simply, put simply. So, 5 aggregates. We have body, feeling, perception, judgments or mental formations, and consciousness. Consciousness is the last one that I'm still not sure of. Well, I know what consciousness is, but I'm not sure how the Buddhists are using it in that term. Those are the 5 aggregates, or the 5. They also call them the 5 hindrances. The 5 hindrances to insight. So those are the aggregates. So here I'm opening up my shoulder. Look at the angle by which I'm holding this. And I'm sort of flowing with it like a willow. I'm not striking. You see, I'm not striking. It's always a circular movement. Circular is a sacred geometry. So you're moving in sacred geometry. It's always a circular. I'm flowing like a leaf with the wind. The staff is just carrying itself. And I'm using partially my body at this point to move it. So there's control here, a sense of dynamic control in the wrist. That's a limiting this force pulling the staff around the outside. Forgot what that word is. The gravitational force that's pulling the head of the staff around in a circle. I'm just controlling that. After a while, I'm opening up these articulations, the nervous, neuromuscular, the nerve cell, the afferent neuron connections that go to my kinesthetic, my body receptors, and my proprioceptive receptors, which is my sense of placement and movement through space. Articulations of bone and muscle, tendon and muscle, the soft connective tissue covering the ends of the bones, the synovial spaces in there, activating synovial fluid and conditioning those connections, those articulations on a neuromuscular skeletal level. Now I'm twisting my wrist. It becomes very subtle. So I'm working on not just the shoulder, but I'm working out the entire motion of all these articulations. So any motion my wrist can do. Any motion my wrist can do, I'm conditioning its full range of ability and motion. So then you become very dexterous if you learn to use the parts of your body like this as part of a moving meditation. Because you're using everything to its full capacity. Just a simple thing now, I'm taking my pinky off. Very subtle, different, but adds a whole set of stressors, tensors, and conditioning to that area. Now I'm starting to use my fingers. I'm starting to use my fingers to become intelligent in the way and dexterous. So I'm extending this energy, awareness, consciousness. I'm extending it down through my shoulders, through all the connections and articulations, finally to my fingertips. And I can start to use then my fingers to guide the staff very slowly. And you see it's very simple, very relaxing. Not about, this has nothing to do with fighting, this part of it. This is just a meditative, spiritual part, although this makes you an excellent swordsman. Learning the entire range of the human body using this object, this weapon. So all these are circular movements, but they're also strikes. They can be interpreted as the ability to strike from it very quickly from any place, anytime, and coordinated those moves, coordinating those movements and transitions. Right, right. So now what I've done is open up my entire shoulders here, and you see my shape, basically, the upper body is primarily due to these types of movements. And standing movements and opening up. Basically, these channels here and shoulders, these are much harder for me. They're not open yet. My shoulder is open, so I can't really push the energy. See, when you develop the chi with the breath body, you extend it through the limbs, through the channels. You activate the neuro skeletal connections, articulations, by concentrating and focus on breath, pressure in the body, pneumatic pressure. That's what it feels like. And you feel like you have a power and energy here. And that's what shapes the body. That shapes the musculature. Just that. So in other words, now, in order to keep this tone, I just have to do a standing movement. I have to just do things like this. Because I've learned how to manipulate this force. This will keep my body entirely toned, things like this. They're also very powerful mudras. This is a mudra formation, a mudra sequence that I've never seen before, that I just developed. And I use all the time when I'm driving. And there's many things you could do with your hand. This also enhancing. Now I'm loosening up the shoulders even more. Again, the full range. A new plane, moving on a new plane with my shoulders and my wrists and my hands all describing a circular pattern, and my hips. So this, I can feel the energy running up both sides and along under here. It's like a platform, it's like a skeleton, a spiritual skeleton framework. So the staff is very wonderful for conditioning your upper body, and it's highly enjoyable. When I first started, I was like, oh, how do I do this? And now I just pick up the staff and play with it. Just play with it. And beautiful meditative focus with this. Beautiful meditative focus. Because this puts you, the motion, circular motions, always, the body loves circular motions. So pattern circular motions, the body drinks that in. Spirit drinks that in. And also figure eights. The body loves figure eights. Arms, hands, even movement in space. Movement. So you start to use your whole body then too. Not only the staff, but now everything. So it's like the blacksmith using a hammer. You hammer the mold, you shape that, call it Tai Chi energy, that force, whatever it is, that energy. I don't really know what it is. It's just a neuromuscular phenomenon. that's based upon chemical reactions and physical functions of your body. So it's undeniably physical, but it is also a cognitive, like I'm amazed at what I'm doing type of thing, or this is so cool and it feels so good. So you have those sensations of bliss through a practice. Even though it's a struggle, sometimes I sit and I just do the basic movements until a pattern develops, a sequence emerges. But I have to make sure I incorporate my legs. I have to remember to use the entire range. Not that you can't, it's impossible to do the entire range. It could work forever on your body. And every day find a new way to, graceful and beautiful way to move your body. So these are insights through practice. This is moving insight meditation. And the 5 aggregates are important to remember. Why those aggregates? Body, feeling, perception, mental formations, and cognition, or in consciousness. Why are they hindrances? We could talk about that another time. Have a great day. Bye.